My last video, I was so stoked to have 20,000 subscribers. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at 1.4 million. I have no words to express the gratitude.
Something strange happened on YouTube in the summer of 2019.
Let's rewind for a second. I just want to say, are you guys insane? Are you okay? 200,000 of you guys watched my first video, my van tour, and sat through 27 minutes of me being me. And what boggles my mind is that 20,000 of you guys subscribed for more. Do you need help? Because yo no comprende. I am so happy and I love you guys, and I have never felt so much love. Literally, there's like over 2,000 comments on that video and like 99% of them are positive.
Out of nowhere, a brand new channel appeared. Just 2 videos, a van tour and a quirky shower routine. And yet, within days, over 1 million subscribers. It just didn't make sense. Most creators grind for years to even sniff those numbers. But Jennelle Eliana, she seemed to bend the rules of the platform entirely. To put the magnitude of what she's done into perspective for you, Mr. Beast, who is now one of the biggest creators in the world, didn't reach his first 1 million subscribers until after more than a year of grinding with hundreds of uploads. PewDiePie, the king of YouTube for so long, took nearly 2 years to break into the millions. Even Emma Chamberlain, whose exceptionally fast rise felt overnight, still had to pump out dozens of videos before she really broke through. But then came Jennelle, a 20-something-year-old with a baby blue 1995 GMC Vandura and a pet snake named Alfredo. She uploaded just 2 videos, just 2, with a van tour and a quirky shower routine, and within 2 weeks, she wasn't sitting at a few thousand subscribers, she was sitting at 1.4 million.
If you guys think that this girl actually lives in her van and she's like a real person, you're a fucking idiot.
This isn't just unbelievable, that kind of growth is practically unheard of. And it didn't just raise eyebrows, it set the entire creator community on fire with comments like, "I was very astonished as there are thousands of YouTubers who create that kind of video and go nowhere." Her first video's just too clean for a first-time YouTuber. Sure, some professional edited it, but she has a sweet personality to add to it. It's obvious she grew artificially, YouTube really bringing their vision out.
Her van, but like, how is her hair done so good in the van?
Welcome to the
vidIQ, the YouTube analytics channel, called her astonishing, saying she feels like the type of creator who can turn on a camera, forget it's there, and shoot in one take. She has that X factor.
So what is the secret to a brand new YouTube channel getting over 15 million views and 1 million subscribers with 2 videos in less than a month? Well, it's pretty simple. Buy a van and stick a snake on your head. So some people just have it. And in her first video, Jennelle has this in abundance. You're probably just best watching the video to understand what I'm talking about.
Another creator reacted in disbelief, pointing out that the average new channel gets maybe a few hundred views a month, while Jennelle was pulling in 300,000 views a day. Even on Reddit, people who were part of an interesting Reddit thread titled "What's Up with Jennelle Eliana" were questioning the numbers. The post goes, "This new YouTuber has 1.1 million subscribers and only 2 videos. One is a van tour and the other is how she showers. How is she so popular so quickly?" And right there, the link points to her Social Blade stats, which were skyrocketing at the time. Now, the comments under this post really sum up how confused people were. The top reply says, "From what I can gather, she's a 20-year-old who's famous on Instagram for living in a 1995 GMC van. She's been linking her YouTube to her Instagram a lot. Could be sub-bots, could be new traffic due to the YouTube algorithm. 300,000 in a day is nuts though." And another person quickly responds, pointing out, "Her Insta only has 100,000 followers. Something is up." So you can see right from the start, so many things are questionable about this growth. Was it the YouTube algorithm giving her that golden lottery ticket, or was something else happening behind the scenes? Another telling moment came from the FBE panel, where seasoned YouTubers sat back and watched her first van tour video. One of them said, for somebody filming her first ever YouTube video, she's very comfortable and natural in front of the camera, which is not common.
So let's begin. We're gonna watch some of your videos.
Okay.
Ooh, a van tour.
So, what really happened here? Was this the work of a clever algorithm, bots, or even YouTube itself planting a new star? Or was Jennelle Eliana simply the perfect storm of personality, charm, timing, and story, all colliding at exactly the right moment? It isn't exactly easy to answer all these questions, but the thing is, Jennelle Eliana wasn't just 21 years old when the internet first stumbled across her channel, but she already had the kind of backstory that felt tailor-made for a viral rise.
Hello, I'm Jennelle and I live in a van with my pet snake, Alfredo. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a tour of our tiny home, which is a 1995 GMC Vendura Explorer Limited. But first and foremost, I just want to say welcome to the first frickin' video on my YouTube channel.
She wasn't living in a flashy Los Angeles apartment or a suburban home, she was living in a van. Not just any van either, but a self-renovated 1995 GMC Vendura that she had picked up off Craigslist for about $2,500.
I would check Craigslist every day for 7 months until I found this van. I almost took out a loan for a Sprinter van, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because I don't like the idea of being in debt. And I got this van for such a sweet deal. I got it for $2,500. That's like not including everything that I put into it. I want to do another video where I like talk in detail about the money that I put into this van, because I probably put more than I should have, to be honest. But yeah, I got this van for $2,500 on Craigslist from this cute older couple who only used it to take their kids to Disneyland. I'm going to be giving you guys a tour of our tiny home, which is a 1995 GMC Vendura Explorer Limited.
Originally, it was an ugly shade of green, but Jennelle had it painted her favorite color, baby blue, turning it into something iconic, instantly recognizable on camera and inseparable from her brand.
Good, I'm good. Okay, so this is my door. It's green, and the van's blue, and that's because I was too cheap to get the door jambs repainted.
Her co-star in all this was Alfredo, her pet snake. "This is my travel companion, Alfredo, and he's just my best friend," she told viewers, proudly showing off his terrarium built into her van's kitchen.
Crystal, he's spiritual, and that's me. It's actually so cute. Alfredo will prop his head like on this picture of me, and I just love it. This is his water hole, and on that side is his cool side, hide. And I just have a whole bunch of fake plants in here, and what do you know, it's me again. Having Alfredo is such an interesting dynamic because I love him so much, and he's literally incapable of loving me back, which is fine because that's like every boyfriend that I have ever had.
Alfredo wasn't just a detail, he became part of her identity as a creator. Where other van lifers traveled with golden retrievers or huskies, Jennelle had a ball python. She admitted she picked him over a dog because he was low maintenance and respected her space. "I kinda need my space and he kinda needs his, so he was just the perfect pet for me." Even his diet became a recurring gag, $12 a month for the rats he ate once a week. But behind the novelty of the van and the snake was a clear philosophy. Jennelle leaned into minimalism, frugal living, and sustainability, not in a performative way, but in the little habits that filled her daily life. She bragged about using reusable straws and cups, washcloths instead of paper towels, thrifting for all her clothes, and incorporating bright colors and secondhand finds into her space. Her van ran off solar panels she installed herself, 3 of them at $180 each.
Video on that, but basically I have 3 100-watt solar panels on the roof, and they charge this battery, and this runs Alfredo's heating pad and my fridge, and I just wrap the wires in embroidery thread because it makes it look less ugly.
She even made her own blackout curtains out of velcroed bandanas and waterproof cheap tile stickers with polyurethane to create countertops.
I always make sure that my windows are completely blacked out before I go to sleep. This is just another piece of Reflectix with black felt. And for the top portion, I just have these blackout curtains, and they have Velcro on them so that they stick nice and snug against the window. In the basket next to my water container, I have all of my kitchen stuff, and that includes the only pan that I own, which is this mini cast iron, my salt shaker, and then I have my Jetboil Minimo that hooks up to this isobutane propane mix. And the only thing that I made in here so far is ramen, and it turned out pretty good. It's kind of hard to mess.
She wasn't shy about money either. She broke down her monthly costs on camera with refreshing honesty. About $100 a month for car insurance, $200 for gas, $5 for water refills, $0 for electricity thanks to solar, and $45 for a gym membership, which doubled as her access to showers.
Okay, and now I'm naked.
I've taken almost all my showers in the past 2 years at the gym, and I've gotten quite comfortable.
First I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live without you by my side.
Maybe just a tad too comfortable.
Eating out was her biggest splurge, around $400 a month. Groceries, she admitted, were basically Jennelle was both proud and self-deprecating. The full renovation had cost about $8,000. Much of it trial and error. She laughed about her mistakes, calling herself a measure once, cut twice kind of girl, and warned her viewers not to be like her if they wanted to save money, but despite the learning curve, she ripped out the carpet, laid down vinyl flooring, and built a pine plywood bed with her own hands. It wasn't perfect. Once a surfboard fell on her face in the middle of the night because she hadn't screwed it in correctly, but she wore those mistakes like badges of honor. Her everyday quirks became as memorable as the van itself. She had a fluffy steering wheel cover she adored, even though it left lint everywhere. She kept a kazoo handy in her glove compartment and wasn't afraid to pull it out for a joke, which explains why I'm still single. She admitted to making her bed 3 times a day because of her constant naps, and she openly showed off her emergency pee bottles, joking that they were pink and sparkly to make them a little less gross. She wasn't trying to present a glamorous version of van life. Bugs made her scream.
You're living van life, but you're afraid of a bug?
Oh, that happened at least like 6 times that day. A lot of the comments were like, how are you scared of a bug and have a pet snake? Like, they're 2 different things. Like, he's like a puppy and a bug is literally like spawned from hell.
She complained about her solar failing on the road, and she confessed she didn't really cook. It was messy, funny, and real. This blend of eccentric charm and grounded practicality was the foundation of her appeal. Viewers didn't just see a girl in a van. They saw someone who was resourceful, relatable, strong-willed, and willing to laugh at her own absurdities. By the time her first videos started spreading, the internet wasn't just fascinated by van life, they were fascinated by Jennelle. By the time Jennelle uploaded her very first video in 2019, the van life movement was already in full swing. Instagram was flooded with picture-perfect shots of couples and solo travelers posing inside Sprinter vans with fairy lights and neatly folded blankets, always parked in front of a mountain range or ocean sunset. YouTube, too, was catching on. Search terms like van life, van tour, and living in a van were climbing the charts. vidIQ even broke it down at the time. Van life had incredibly high search volume, but relatively low competition. In other words, if you posted in that niche, the algorithm was practically begging to promote your video. It was a window of opportunity. The space was already crowded with creators, though. There were plenty of couples documenting their cross-country road trips, families converting school buses into tiny homes, and rugged solo travelers living out of white Sprinters tricked out with wood paneling. The aesthetic was polished, almost aspirational, the kind of content that felt closer to a curated magazine spread than a personal vlog. That's why Jennelle stood out immediately. She didn't look or act like the others. She was 21, bubbly, and at times self-deprecating, never afraid to laugh at herself. Instead of carefully staged shots with matching enamel mugs, she screamed at bugs on camera, made jokes about being single while holding a kazoo, and filmed herself refilling a 7-gallon water jug at the grocery store. She didn't just break the mold of van life content, she made it feel accessible, messy, and human. There was also something more subtle but deeply significant about her presence. In a niche that was overwhelmingly white and dominated by couples showing off a dream lifestyle, Jennelle brought visibility as a young Black and Filipino woman doing van life solo. Representation mattered here. Fans flooded her comments with messages confirming how she's inspired them to go live in vans too, and do what they want to do with their lives. It wasn't just about living in a van, it was about seeing yourself in a world that rarely showed people who looked like you. So when the algorithm met Jennelle, it wasn't just pushing another polished van tour, it was introducing audiences to someone who felt fresh, approachable, and different. And that difference would become the foundation of her rapid, almost unbelievable rise. Jennelle's very first upload was a 27-minute video simply titled Van Tour. On the surface, it didn't look like anything revolutionary, a young woman walking viewers through the tiny 70 square foot space she called home. But there was something different about how it was presented. The thumbnail was clean, the title hit the exact keyword van life audiences were searching for, and the pacing felt effortless. The shots were framed with a kind of casual professionalism, reminiscent of Casey Neistat's vlog era, multiple camera angles, clever cuts, and a style that felt polished but not overproduced. Most importantly, people watched it, all the way through. Where most new creators struggle to hold an audience past the first minute, Jennelle's personality kept viewers glued for nearly half an hour. That kind of watch time is gold for the algorithm. Her second upload would take things even further. How I Shower Living in a Van turned what could have been a throwaway vlog into something instantly iconic. Jennelle mixed practical information like showing off her $45 gym membership and a portable camping shower with comedic timing that made the video endlessly rewatchable. She joked about no number twos in the van, cut away to Alfredo performing the national anthem on a kazoo to avoid copyright, and captured herself nervously showering outside a Korean restaurant while terrified of a wasp. It was the kind of video that felt both hilarious and strangely relatable.
Many of you guys are curious about where I use the bathroom. And I just want to say that there is very few rules in this van, but there's one, and that is no one is allowed to go number 2 inside the van. That is just thinking about gross. But yeah, I live in the city for the most part, so I have an abundance of toilets available to me. But in the case of an absolute emergency, I have tucked away behind this, in this compartment here that says headphones, an emergency pee bottle, and an emergency pee bottle for when 16 ounces just doesn't cut it.
The numbers tell the story. On day 1, that first van tour managed only about 350 views. By the end of the first week, it had climbed to roughly 2,000. Nothing viral yet, but YouTube's system was testing the video, pushing it into more feeds, and by the time How I Shower went live, the first upload had started pulling in 50,000 views a day. With the two videos feeding off each other, Jennelle's channel literally exploded. Within 2 weeks of her debut, Jennelle wasn't celebrating 10,000 subscribers or even 100,000 or even 1 million. She was sitting at 1.4 million.
In my last video, I was so stoked to have 20,000 subscribers. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at 1.4 million. I have no words to express the gratitude that I feel.
2 videos, 14 days. A level of growth so unprecedented that it left both viewers and other creators scrambling to explain what they had just witnessed. The moment Jennelle's subscriber count started climbing into the millions, the internet did what it always does when something doesn't quite add up. It invented theories. Whole threads popped up on Reddit, YouTube comment sections filled with speculation, and even other creators started voicing their suspicions. The arguments came fast and heavy. "She's too polished for a beginner," one commenter insisted. Others swore she must have had a secret production team feeding her shots and editing her footage behind the scenes. Some accused YouTube itself of foul play, claiming the platform was auto-subscribing users to her channel in an effort to manufacture a new star. And perhaps the most common theory, Jennelle was a plant, strategically chosen to push both the trending van life niche and a more diverse face into a space dominated by white influencers. But when you actually looked at her videos, the evidence didn't support those claims. Jennelle was filming on her iPhone, editing everything with a $30 app. If she had a hidden production crew, they were very good at covering their tracks. Her videos were full of small but obvious flaws. Gusts of wind distorting her audio, abrupt cuts that didn't quite line up, DIY mistakes like a surfboard falling on her in the middle of the night, or her sheepishly explaining why she was showering outside a Korean restaurant while panicking over a bug. These weren't the hallmarks of a professional machine. They were the raw edges of someone figuring it out as they went. Even her channel analytics told a more grounded story. The first week of her van tour video wasn't explosive at all. A few hundred views on day 1, 2,000 by the end of the week. It wasn't until the second upload hit that the numbers snowballed. The growth may have looked like an overnight miracle, but the data showed it had built up in an organic curve. Jennelle herself stayed calm through the noise. She addressed the conspiracies head-on in her own videos. "No, I'm not a plant. I wish. You'll just have to trust me." She didn't rant or lash out. She didn't take offense. She simply shrugged, as if to say she was just as bewildered as everyone else by what had happened.
It's just like people in my comments like, "These are all bots." And I'm like, okay, sure, dude.
Are you a hired actress by YouTube?
No, I wish.
Okay, how? But people are still going to be like, yeah, that she would say that if she was. You would say that if you were a hired
I really don't
actress.
know what to say.
How can you prove that you're not?
How do I prove that I'm not? Yeah, that's a hard one. You're just gonna have to trust me.
And maybe that was the most convincing evidence of all. For someone supposedly backed by a massive secret machine, Jennelle Eliana didn't act like a manufactured star. She acted like exactly what she was, a young woman with a van, a snake, and a YouTube channel that had just spiraled out of her control. What Jennelle had, the thing that made her stand out from the thousands of other van life channels, was the intangible X factor, and at the heart of it was authenticity. There was a layer of escapism. Most viewers weren't about to sell everything and live in a van, but through Jennelle, they could live that life vicariously. The freedom, the minimalism, the sheer quirkiness of it all was intoxicating. The comments made that clear. "I subbed for Alfredo. This makes me want to live in a van." Audiences weren't just watching her, they were projecting themselves into her story. And the real secret weapon was the demographic power behind her channel. Over 90% of her viewers were women between the ages of 18 and 24, the exact audience that drives online trends, memes, and virality. When that age group decides something is cool, it spreads like wildfire across platforms. Jennelle had tapped directly into the beating heart of internet culture, and it turned her from a niche van lifer into a full-blown phenomenon. However, the conspiracies around Jennelle's rise didn't just stay in Reddit threads and YouTube comment sections, they became content themselves. Other creators jumped in, turning the suspicion into memes, satire, and endless commentary that only amplified her name. When the Fine brothers sat a panel of seasoned YouTubers down to watch Jennelle's van tour, their reactions were a mix of admiration and disbelief. For somebody filming her first ever YouTube video, she's very comfortable and natural in front of the camera, one said, eyebrows raised.
Interesting dynamic.
For somebody filming her first ever YouTube video, she's very comfortable and natural in front of the camera, which is not common.
Another couldn't believe the numbers. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at 1.4 million? That's like lightning struck, 1 in a billion. The disbelief was genuine, but by broadcasting it, FBE made Jennelle's story even more legendary.
I was so stoked to have 20,000 subscribers. Fast forward, 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at 1.4 million. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at 1.4 million.
What?
2 weeks later, I'm sitting at 1.4 million.
Oh my god. That's like actually just so insane.
10 years ago, people weren't even at 1.4 million subscribers. Now someone gets 1.4 million subscribers in 2 weeks off of 2 videos.
Meanwhile, commentary channels had a field day. Alex from Internet Sensation released a full parody, mocking the obsession with her shower video. He deadpanned, "If all it takes is showering in a van, I'll do it too." He joked about buying a van he couldn't drive, showering on planes, and keeping a Big Mac as his pet since he didn't have a snake. It was sarcastic, ridiculous, but it tapped into the wider mood. No one could quite believe what they were watching unfold.
So I'm going to try and figure out what she's doing in an attempt to hopefully improve my prospects on the website. By looking at her channel, I suppose the first thing that I need to do is get a van. And I can't drive, so we're gonna have to cross that one off the list. But I am traveling via planes. So, kind of like an upgraded version of that. I don't know if you're allowed to shower on a plane though. But it says in her thumbnail, how do you shower? And I'm curious.
Because I want to know how she showers.
Maybe that's the key. And I could get some tips and work that into my routine.
And the more people speculated, the more Jennelle's name spread. Theories about YouTube auto-subscribing people to her channel became memes. Screenshots of broken auto captions from her videos got passed around. Jokes about Alfredo the Snake flooded her comments. Some creators accused her of being a corporate plant, while others made content mocking that exact idea, literally holding up potted plants and saying, here's the real YouTube plant.
You know, maybe YouTube have kind of put their hands in and messed around a bit. Some people are calling her a YouTube plant, but I beg to differ, because a YouTube plant actually looks like this. You don't want to stick your finger in that.
It all blended together into a kind of internet chaos, but somehow in the end, all that noise only served one purpose. It made Jennelle Eliana more impossible to ignore. Today, she sits at over 2 million subs. And the craziest thing is that after the chaos of her overnight rise, Jennelle didn't do what most people expected. She didn't flood her channel with uploads, chasing the momentum. In fact, she slowed down almost immediately. Where other creators might have capitalized on their viral moment with weekly content or brand deals, Jennelle disappeared for months at a time. When she finally resurfaced in April of 2022, it was with a video titled, I Bought a House. Gone was the full-time van life. In its place, Jennelle had revealed she purchased 5 acres of land on the California coast, complete with a small home she was beginning to settle into. For many who had first discovered her showering on the roadside, it was a shock. The girl who had become the face of van life was no longer living in her van.
I'm feeling a little camera shy because it has been a minute. This is our home. It is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath set on 5 acres on the California coast. The house was originally a barn and it was converted into a house, and I just think that's so cute. The house definitely needs a little bit of work, but it's totally perfect and functional for me and Alfredo.
Instead, Jennelle shifted much of her energy toward other platforms. On TikTok, she built an audience of over 1.7 million followers and racked up more than 20 million likes, leaning into short-form videos that suited her offbeat humor and quick storytelling style.
Why get a regular schmegular rectangular bed when you can get a
Circle bed.
circle bed? Did you know that sleeping on a circle bed increases your lifespan by 157 days? Don't look that up. I know you guys are wondering, Jennelle, what side of the bed do you sleep on? Well, joke's on you, cause a circle bed has no sides.
Alfredo the Snake still made regular appearances, joined now by her dog Tula, who became the star of her more recent updates. Instagram, where she had first built a modest following before YouTube, once again became her comfort zone. The question, of course, was why didn't she lean harder into YouTube after blowing up in such a spectacular way? Jennelle herself gave the simplest answer. She didn't know why she went viral in the first place, and she wasn't interested in stressing herself out trying to replicate it. I just want to post what I want. Keep it fun, she said, shrugging off the algorithm obsession that defines so many of her peers. In an era where every creator was pushing harder, chasing numbers and engagement, Jennelle took the opposite approach. She walked away from the pressure, choosing a quieter, stranger kind of internet fame. One where she could still share pieces of her life, but on her own terms. In the end, the mystery of Jennelle Eliana wasn't really a mystery at all. She may or may not be a YouTube plant, secretly pushed by some corporate hand. And it may not just be dumb luck either. It may have simply been the right niche at the right moment. The algorithm hungry for van life content, and a creator whose relatability and personality carried everything further than anyone could have predicted. Because the truth is, the van wasn't the hook. The snake wasn't the hook. She was the hook. In the years since, she stepped back from the spotlight, choosing peace over pressure. But the impact of her moment lingers. She proved that sometimes all it takes is one person, one story at the right time to capture the internet's imagination.